for next week, we are still on. Go. Good evening. We are back for our class on the 8 movements. Today would be the day of the 7th of the 8 movement. The 7th of the 8 movements is a little, let's say, not so easy. Actually, to be totally honest, to do it really well is difficult. That is the famous bad news. The good news is that we can adapt it a little bit, and also we have the chair that transform it to very difficult is not so difficult at all. But is an important movement. This is is the only movement really that trains the fourth of the holding of Yantra that is called Drempa, or contracted hold or pulled back hold. This is to define it, because basically we have to bring the navel back toward the spine, but not after exhaling, but after having inhaled, having reached the condition of the close hold, with the base of the close hold, basically, then we have to pull the navel toward the spine, and this creates the contracted hold. Other holds, there are more, just for curiosity. Open hold, there is several times. In the first movement, there is open hold. In the second, there is open hold. In the fourth, there is open hold. In reality, also in the sixth, there is moment of open hold. In the seventh, there is open hold. So open hold is everywhere, almost. But it's good, because in general, if you want to do some kind of breathing, like the rhythmic breathing, and we're doing for the purpose of relaxing, coordinating, and lowering our heartbeat, lowering blood pressure, our condition, then open hold is the way to go. But open hold, we cannot really safely hold for too long, because then start to have some effect that is not really advisable, without going into much detail, but has some effect on the nervous system, not necessarily so advisable. Now, we are talking about holding for more than 10 or 15 seconds or 20 seconds, or I don't know. Generally is not considered, if you do it once, is not a problem. But if you want to practice for a long time, keeping to increase the open hold, is not really so safe. For a normal training to open up, coordinate the breath, going to 10 is already enough. 10 seconds of open hold. For example, that would be the rhythm of 8. Can also go a little higher, but what I'm saying that too much high for a long time, that probably is not good. Then Jilva, there is in the second, there is in the last. In reality, there is a little Jilva also in the here and there is not named, but there is some function of Jilva. And then the close hold also, there is in the fifth, in the sixth, and basically even if it's not named, there is also some aspect of the close hold in the seventh. So you see, they are there, here and there, but the pullback, the contracted hold, you can see clearly only if we do the movement correct in the seventh. The contracted hold in reality is pretty important in itself, obviously. And is the way it is explained, the way it is applied, I understand with my limited knowledge that is particular to this Yantra Yoga that we practice on the tradition of Vairocana. Some people who are familiar with some system of Hatha Yoga, they might know what is Uddiyana Bandha, and can have some kind of similar aspect. But the way that is applied in Yantra is not necessarily how it is applied in other systems. Now, I have to be honest, it's not that I know so much, so in depth, other system of yoga, except one tradition of Hatha Yoga that I studied when I was in India, and then I had the opportunity to get exposed, how they say, for a brief time. I don't think that it's really possible to express a really informed, in practice, judgment or consideration about some system of yoga, only reading some book and this and that. Of course, we can have some intellectual idea, but until and unless you practice something for some time, not for 5 minutes, generally it's not so easy to really understand the principle of that system. Otherwise, judging very superficially is never something really correct in itself. So for me, it's not so easy to express judgment of other systems. But some idea I have, some little practice I've done, and so I am forced to generalize, but I might say that the way it is applied Drempa in the system of the Yantra like this is pretty kind of particular to Yantra. In any case, has its own function, because it's a kind of powerful kind of hold, so as some kind of precise as any other movement in reality, to the function of the internal energy of the prana that are connected with the element air. And these, if anybody is interested in going a little more in detail, can try to read some simple book on Tibetan medicine, and then you can understand the function of the 5 lunes and how is the interdependence with the elements, and so and the characteristic of everybody, nature of propensity, and so on and so on and so on. And if somebody is interested in some effect that the practice of Yantra in general, specific radiate movement, and maybe specifically some movement, in the book of Yantra Yoga, there are 2 books. The original book that is written by Rinpoche with Rinpoche's commentary and has been translated in several languages. And then there is the book about more the open level of Yantra Yoga, the more basic structure of Yantra. And also this has been translated in few languages. And there is also some mention of what are the effects of every movement on this aspect of the physical body, of the organs, of the subtle energies. There are general indication. In the original book, there is also some suggestion about, in general, some kind of illnesses, but very simple, very synthetic. It in no way is supposed to be an advice to cure somebody. Obviously, you always have to consult your physician. You have to consult with somebody who has some kind of concrete knowledge, not try to, decide to do something and then get rid of some maybe important illnesses just to do some exercises. It's not said that cannot help, of course can help, but the indication, and there are, for example, in the book, are very, very general about how could be that. So all the disclaimers of the word are there because we don't want in any way to suggest something that is not the part of the special of this course, is not a yoga therapy. But for sure, the most general indication, and this is being proven by several studies and applying several different ways all over the world with many traditions and many points of view, recently of neuroscience and all these kind of things, that coordinating our breath is definitely very good. So the moment we are able to coordinate the breath and balance our the breath and balance our energy, that is good. But in order to do that, we have to try to understand how to breathe correctly, how to apply, even if movements are simple, and try to focus correctly on what's supposed to happen, and having a breath that is fluid and smooth. And especially, don't force. Don't force, it means not necessarily putting some strength in things. For example, yet movements are not done limping, just without any life inside, without some vigor. Of course, as you have seen already, yet movement, the nature is to do it with a little vigor. We can say presence. You know, we should be awake, not sleepy. Awake and a little focused, present in what we do, and then our energy is alive, so our energy is there and moves together with the movement. So we are not sleepy, but awake. And this moment we do it with a little present, means also a little vigor, not just too soft and abandoned. Softness inside strength is graceful. That is another thing. Doing things with grace is very, very, very the way they should be. But grace and strength together, and alertness and presence and aliveness, that is the way we should be trying to do in Yantra Yoga. And again, you can do that when you can kind of, I would say in English, when you can really morph somehow the breath in the movement. In order to do that, I will repeat it over and over again, you cannot be distracted. You have to be there. You have to be present. I probably already said it because it is so dear to me, that this aspect is actually the most fundamental for the practice, not being distracted. And is also fundamental for the moment we do the practice, for the time we dedicate to the practice, but is also fundamental when we stop, we come up from the yoga mat or the yoga towel or from the chair, and we do other things. If we can carry with us a little bit of this smoothness of the breath, this not distraction, and can just sip into our normal activity of life, that is really fantastic. In reality, that's what yoga is about. Then we can discuss having some intellectual idea or having some feelings about different kind of presence, not being distracted or really being in what we are doing. Sometimes it's not really the same thing. There is a kind of profundity, kind of deepness, depth. It's a kind of depth of the experience that is different. But already the idea of not being distracted is already quite important. Okay. So we have to prepare this seventh movement. But before we start with our 9 breathings to eliminate, to exhale 9 times the impure state prana. Now, one little word about this. What is this state prana? So the lungs are never really empty. There is always a kind of about maybe a quarter called the reserve volume of air. It's always inside. Then when we inhale, especially if you inhale deeply, then we expand, and at a certain point we get to the full capacity of our inhalation. That is different, of course, for everybody, as is different for everybody the way that our experience of practicing might be similar, but everybody is one dimension, similar to other dimension, but you are embodying your experience, your dimension of this being alive. So, and then when you exhale, if you exhale really in depth, then we can really go to the bottom, more or less, of our possibility of exhaling. But we never exhale completely. That is an idea, again, with many things we use to describe the experience of the breathing, is an idea because you feel you really exhaled. You have exhaled. You're finished to exhale. But it's not really what happened. There is always still some air inside. And even when we say really, 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 really thoroughly, there is still this kind of reserve volume of air. And if we have always an impaired breath, a superficial breath, a very poor breath, respiration, then somehow this is not refreshed. So there are the description of these of different level also in different system of yoga, maybe slightly different way of expressing. Also maybe from a more scientific point of view, there is a way of looking at it. But actually, if we go with a little bit of very simple way, it's like this. Doesn't refresh. And so the respiration cannot be as good as could be. And what is the only way to actually refresh it? We can use refresh it, we can say purify it. And this is through a very thorough exhalation. So that really let out more than would usually do of the air. And then, in order to do that, obviously you have to inhale very well. Because the example I generally make is you want to clean a dirty bottle, you have to put a nice amount of clean water, then you shake it, and then you pour it, and then slowly you purify. So we can have more or less this idea. And the pure water would correspond to a correct full breath. This is like putting the clean water in the bottle. Because if you breathe only here, and very little, you can't clean anything. You cannot really get rid of anything. So you need a nice open breath with all the movement that helps you really opening up the rib cage, really expanding at our best in that moment. And then exhaling very thoroughly, what happens that we can purify this stale or impure air. And this obviously is good for the body and for the mind and for the energy. When we don't do that, it's not really only that we keep this kind of base of stale air. But why this happened is happened because our respiration is not done really, is not, we are not taking advantage of our possibilities because of tension and this and so on and so on and so on, and then the mind follows, the mind gets tense and closed. And so it's not really maybe only with the 9 breathings that we can really overcome this problem. And that's where, for example, the 8 movements, that's their job. Their job is exactly to open up different aspects of the breath, and through the function of the holding, expand our capacity of the process of the respiration, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So the 9 breathing is done just to set a base, already trying to get rid of something, creating the base. But then, in order to have an evolution, having a completion of that, then we can practice the 8 movements and having a kind of foundation. And then with all the yantras, then you can establish and increase and expand and how do you say in English? And establish a much deeper capacity and a more natural, coordinated, and actually energetic condition. And energy intense, not just energy always like this. Energy means also the capacity in reality of being more easily in a state of presence. Okay, so now I want to do a little bit of exercise so that we can see this thing about exhaling, because it's interesting. This is not yantra, this is something just a kind of little exercise to have a little experience. We sit in a comfortable position with the back straight, relax, and then you inhale as you inhale, but try to inhale a little deep. Okay, and then exhale. And when you feel you have exhaled nicely, thoroughly, you stop and hold. Do not inhale, just hold. And then exhale again. Now you've finished. Remain a moment, exhale again. Okay, let's stop here. We did 3 times. I don't know if everybody had the same experience, but generally, when we do this, you discover that you thought you finished to exhale, but you can exhale again. And again. Even to the point where you kind of squeeze your abdomen. Now I'm finished. Wait a moment. And you see you can exhale a little more. So it's relative, the idea of exhaling completely. But the point is that, especially in these 9 breathings, we have to focus, our attention should be on the exhalation. You don't have to pause it like this, but compared to what we do normally, of course, should be a really thorough exhalation. Really, you should go lower and lower and lower and nicely again. And then there is also the empty hold. Rinpoche was always giving this advice to people that maybe were nervous or yes, even nervous and tense or something and want to get out of it quickly, to do some fast exhalation, like especially like the one we do at the end, to expel the air, and sometimes staying also a little moment empty before again, kind of vigorously exhale the air with some aspect of so the empty hold. And then already you switch. Your energy, your condition, your mind switches. You are no more prisoner of that feeling. You just are out. Maybe it's just a moment, maybe for some minute, but it's helpful. It's like the water of the pot is boiling, boiling, boiling. For a moment, you turn down the flame. For a moment, subsides. And then the flame goes up. And this is also relative to our aspect of working with the breathing, with the movement, and so on and so on and so on. Then, of course, if we want to extinguish the fire forever, then we go to have into what is more the aspect of the, let's say, the more spiritual aspect of teaching. Spiritual is a word because I don't find at this moment another word. No more in concrete, in some level more our real nature. Okay, and let's do it. We do a little bit of moving our legs. We shake. We shake. We shake. We move down. Especially if people want to do the lotus, it's always better in the beginning to warm up a little the legs, unless you are really flexible and confident and whatever, there is no problem. But you never know. Sometimes you do something that you have done many times before and was always okay, and then one day for some reason you are a little more cold or stiff because you did something, and then you try, and then you say, oh, something is not so easy as usual. So doing a little warm up before, even if looked as this cross legs position are innocent, but still to avoid anything, any possible obstacle, then warming up is always better. We do this because it's helpful and because I like it. And maybe we do this. I don't know, because probably from just the screen is not clear it is, and then I know when I also teach with people in front that the tendency is not to understand and to keep this foot back, but is not here, should come out. You see, is out, not here, is here. The knee, this is outside of the knee. And then we gently move forward. Of course, if you can, you go a little lower. Then we switch. I'm trying to do simple warm-ups, not the one that are really more challenging. Maybe now and then we can do also one of those. Okay. Little turning. Okay. So now we go in the position for the breathing. Today we do the lotus. So men put first the left and then the right, and women first the right and then the left. We take a couple of deep breaths. And then we go. Empty. Inhale. Exhale. Empty. Remember to inhale like a grain of barley. Let's do one time more. Here you can remain empty a moment before going to the other side. And here at the inhalation, you don't stop, immediately exhale. Now inhale from below. Exhale from the top, the upper air, and then move down. With the back straight, a little empty, and back. So try to do the 9 breathing with some presence, really opening nicely, exhaling thoroughly, especially that. So help the 9 breathings to help you. Give the opportunity to the 9 breathings to do their work and to help you eliminating the pure air and coordinating your energy and balancing the aspect of your element. That's what you can do with the 9 breathings. Okay. Now again, a little bit of relaxing the legs. Maybe we here. Shake a little bit. Then we go down. We continue. You can also do like this if you want. This is, if you are lazy, we can do this kind of exercises here. Feet down. Next. Exhale, inhale. Shake again. Close exhaling, open inhaling. Okay. Now, we relax the breathing a little bit. You bring the feet close to the body, and then drop the knees and let the feet look into the side. And just relax, breathe. Relax away from the nostrils, only from the nostrils. You can keep your hand on the side or at the root of the thighs. And observe where you feel the breath is expanding. Probably you feel the breath expanding in the abdomen. You don't feel it very much up in the chest. Actually, maybe even in the belly. In the sense that really feel everything is kind of expanding. Then bring the knees together at the chest and we roll. We do always this because it is important to do some torsion. And the knee, try to keep it up, not too much down, but up. And the arm out, perpendicular. You look at the ceiling. If you want, you have your eyes closed, but the direction is the ceiling. And now and then you take a deeper breath. If this one is uncomfortable, you can do like this, for example. Relax, so to speak. If you feel a little tension, because it is very simple torsion, is really very simple. But for some people, it might not be so simple. Sometimes you can also put a block in between your knees if it's too much. But if you feel some tension, try to go with exhalation, go in. And with inhalation, try to dissolve a little bit, to expand and dissolve. And also in this way, if we try to do this, we have to pay attention. And so it is easier to be present in what we do. Now and then a deeper breath. If you observe, you see mostly the upper abdomen expanding. Also this area a little bit from the back. Then you go back in the center. And then move to the other side.
and do the same. Breathe in and out from the nostrils. If you do yoga, apart some rare cases where there are some breathing from the mouth, some exhalation from the mouth, for example, in Yantra, but otherwise, the organ where you're supposed to breathe through is in and out is the nose. And now also science is explaining why is better. Okay, now we go back in the center. Put the feet down. Drop the knees. Feet look in the side and observe your breath now. It's definitely not like before. First of all, almost automatic, I am pretty sure you feel like breathing more. And then you feel is originated below, but expands toward the chest, sometimes can reach the upper chest. So when you're talking about a breath that is starting from below, and this fluid is pretty much like this. Not that the belly is inflating and then you try to breathe on top, but is expanding from the back and moving up and to the side smoothly, fluidly. And if you notice, if you remain a little bit, stops being so nicely and easy and becomes a little less and start to focus again more below and more starting to expand more the belly. This because we have this strong memory in the body. In the body, I mean also the brain. We have this strong memory. Habit is a strong memory. And so slowly, this is taking over. That's why if you want to change something in a more stable way, we have to train. We have to create another stronger memory. And then slowly, the previous can fade away and the other one can establish it for more prominent. And the only way to do this is training. But now we do another little exercise. If you feel is uncomfortable this position, either you can, if you have possibility, put something like the blocks like this to support, Or you can come back a little bit and put the knees together. That is more comfortable. So we guide our present with touch. There is a reason why there is it enhances what is happening, because how the brain is working in the feedback from the body, and there is reasons for this to happen. Basically, we guide and enhance the function of our presence. The simple way, I might not be very precise, but that probably gives an idea. So now you breathe. Again, sometimes take a deeper breath. And you feel your breathing in the belly, I suppose is what is going to happen. But now, put your hand on the chest. You must still start in the chest, but especially if you want to take decide to take a deeper breath, you come up to the chest. You see? It's very interesting. So it teaches you the powers of your attention and the power also of the position of the body when do the certain movement. It's not just a mechanical thing. There is also something else. And especially if it's connected with presence, something else is really going to happen at a deeper level. So now we try only with our presence, with our focus of our attention. Let's call it in this way. We can leave the arms down so there is no any relationship with our chest. And just think something, just whatever. Just don't pay much attention. Only now and then take a deeper breath. And then you notice where is the expanding the breath. And probably you feel it in the belly. Now, try not to be distracted and focus at the top of the chest, at the base of the throat. Not necessarily the throat itself, just the base, a little down to the throat, where there is the upper bone here, the little V here. Put your presence there. And notice if your breathing is changing. If your attention is waning when you exhale, doesn't really matter. But when you inhale, it is waning. When you exhale, that you refocus there. Okay. Hopefully, what you experience is that does change. Now something is happening in your chest. So you see, then we understand if for example, we are tense and we are concentrating on something. maybe even with strongly and continuously, this influence what is happening. At least it's clear that with how you focus your attention, you can see that can change the way we breathe and the way we change. And the way the breath changes, when that happens, changes something somewhere else. And so our presence or our distraction, the intensity of one and the other, shapes things. Also on the physical level, modifies what is happening. Okay. Now we do some movement for training, preparing a little bit, and also training, but training in the sense that we are seeing it now, and then if you want, you're supposed to train, because now is more showing than training, really. Okay. Now you bring our knees here, and gently we start to do little circles, inhaling and exhaling. We try to keep our knees together and really bring it toward the chest. And then you start making wider circles, lengthening your legs, inhaling when you open, exhaling when you close, until you get really completely straightening the legs. Inhaling and exhaling. And then starting changing the direction. And then you start to closing the range of the circle. Always inhaling when you open, exhaling when you close. Okay, until you stay here and roll. Then roll to one side, exhaling. Inhaling to the center, exhaling to the other side. Okay, now put again your feet close to the body. Parallel the feet, the knees not necessarily pushed together, but close together. And then we do our movement. Inhaling, going up, exhaling, coming down. I am approaching very, very carefully the movement, very slowly. But all these things we are doing are useful. Now, from here, we do a little of our stretching exercise for the arms here. Don't push too much. And now we cross like the first movement above the head. And we try to lengthen a bit upward. But breathing, not holding. When you inhale, you push upward. And when you exhale, we let it come back. Then you straighten your legs. And now you pretend to do the first of the 8 movements laying down and go up directly. And remember, as in the first movement, you don't do this. Don't do this, please. Don't do this. This one, not. Nada, no, niet. 9. I don't remember French. Yeah, anyway. Down. But in this case, we do a little fast. Okay. Now we go back here. Again, roll a little bit. Let me see one moment, what time is it? Okay. I wanted to do something a little more relaxing. Don't have much time because also have to show on the chair, but just a moment for relaxing a little bit the back. If you can, we do this position. One side, the face to one side, the elbow on the knee, the other arm down below. And just breathe, relax. If you have problem, you can put a little pillow or something under your head. Or sometimes under the knee itself. You find a little adjustment. Breathe relaxed. We don't do it for a long time, but it's really relaxing also the back, helps opening the breath. We'll do it again a little longer when we have possibility. Now you go back in the center and roll to the other side. Knee up, elbow on the knee. Okay. Now, again, we have to look at one exercise to train and understand actually how is the position of the seventh movement. We remain like this, and then we lift up and bring down our legs, trying to keep it straight. Inhale, exhale. Or inhale and exhale. It's a little different, you choose. And then at the beginning, you can go down completely and then come up and go down. After a while, you stop just shy of the floor. Then you relax a little. You don't want to force too much. If you have some serious problem in the lower back, then this one is not really advisable. Then really we find and there is an adaptation, or also can do on the chair. Don't push this exercise like this, because then can be strong on the lower back. If you don't have such kind of problem, not necessarily to be afraid of, but you have to know what you're doing, no? So now, when you come back, we come up. This more or less should be the position, only that arms are back. So this more or less should be the position of the seven movement when you are up there. So you try to come up. If you cannot stay, you can support yourself like this to also make your body experience it. Okay, this is an exercise that you can use to train the seven position, the seven movement, because ideally it's like this. Is not too much close, but the point that is not easy. It's not easy to do this. But at least if we see how it is, we can understand what you can aim for. So now I'm going to show it one time. This one, I'm not going to show it several times because it's a little strong, and then I can't really talk and say things when I'm in that position. So wouldn't make much sense. It's a little complicated to talk like this. But let me move this chair a little bit.
So, first of all, let me do a little warm up to go in front, balancing. Okay.
Chair is still. I do it again because
Okay, so that is the 7. Is not one of my strongest because because doesn't matter. It's not one of my strongest. And now, in order to show you some most important aspect of it, I will use some support so I can talk. And first of all, we see something that can make us understand what is that we have to feel when we do this movement. So we can kneel. We can kneel. And then we can cross our arms and keep it just straight out or even down. And we breathe. And we notice something is happening with our abdominal muscle, because the abdominal muscle that should pull back to create Drempa. Then we put it at the level of the shoulders. And again, there is not much happening. Then we go a little higher, and maybe you can feel a little bit of something slightly pulling the side. And then we go up, and now you feel more the control of the abdominal muscles. But if you go backward a little, without falling back, but a little backward, then and stretch up your arms at the same time, then you feel the pull of the abdominal muscles pulling the navel toward the spine.
So that is what should happen. You should feel this happening, this pulling back should happen. That is what is Drampa is, what is supposed to, the action that control the hold. So in the doing like this, it's not that we can substitute this to the movement, but you can understand what is supposed to happen. So unfortunately, if we go too much high, a little bit, I was a little bit too much high when I went up, then there is a little bit of outward push instead of a backward pull. So you have to try not to come up too much. Many people come up too much in reality. It should not be really like this. Otherwise, not so easy to have the action of the Drampa. Also, one thing that I did, because I cannot do differently, was to come up first like this and then try to straighten up. In reality, I know some people they can. Most people have to do it like this. But otherwise, if you can, you come up directly like this without having first this and then correct. Directly like this. This is how the movement should be. So now I'm gonna tell you exactly what is happening when we do the movement. So we start from finishing the previous one here. So now we have to control completely the body. I don't know if you see the feet controlled. You cannot see, but all the body is totally controlled. It is called Chutzel. The body is completely controlled. And with the body completely controlled, we go down. A little bit like a robot, really controlled. And then you can keep the legs, some control in the legs, but relax the arms and relax the tension, the control of the arms don't have to be still in Chutzel, and then bring the arms along the side. And now you cannot do the movement like this. So you have to relax the arms to do the breath. But now you have to push forward your feet and control it strongly, the legs, and then forcefully, that's why I trained you before a little bit, forcefully, you go back. Forcefully means also a little quick, still from the nostrils, like this. Leg stance, feet pointing, controlled. If you do like this, what you feel is that the air is mostly down, doesn't come up too much in the chest. But if you do this, you have the air completely in the chest. The problem is that then you have to go up. And if you go up, you feel like this, or you exhale like this, because this next phase, this one, going up, should be in open hold. So no block anything. You should go up in open hold. So you can go up easily in open hold if you have controlled the air already down, and then you have to breathe like this. And then you limit very much the air up, and it's not very much the air also, because you inhale forcefully is a little strong and quick, what I mean. And then so it's more focused down and then up, a little more relaxed. So when you come up, you can come up kind of easy without problem. So when you are here, supposedly you are like this, then in open hold, you came up in open hold, But the moment you are there and start lifting the leg, of course you go in close hold as the base of Drempa, but because of the position, then you pull back, and that creates Drempa. So you come up in open hold, take the legs up, create Drempa, and then exhale, going back to the floor, inhale, and here, possibly you want to inhale nicely, really giving a nice inhalation, a little bit stretching the arms along the sides so you really don't block the throat, and then come up exhaling. If some people have difficulties in coming up directly like this, so you can put first the hands a little bit inside the small of the back and help yourself up, and then go. If it is necessary, if you cannot go down all the way, you can stop a little bit. Important that you exhale nicely. Okay? So this is the 7 movement for Drempa. Now, when we do the adaptation, if people cannot do this, then we have a few alternatives, and we have to see what is working better. So one is to stay like this, pushing the crossed arms toward the floor and just lifting the legs. Sometimes can also try to come up a little bit in one possibility. The other, only try to do this. If you try to lengthen the arms up and little back, then you can feel something. Otherwise, more or less what I was doing when I was talking, you inhale here, exhale, inhale. In open hold, we come up like this or like this, and then take the legs. If you are like this, you have more base to try to keep and feel. Then we can also feel the Drempa. Inhale and exhale coming up. Okay, I hope it's clear. Now what is left to do is the rhythm. The rhythm on everything is 2. Everything. Inhale, 2 counts. Exhale, 2 counts. Inhale, 2 counts, but it's a little quicker, it's forceful. Coming up, open hold, 2 counts. Take the legs, go in Drempa hold, 2 counts. Exhale, 2 counts. Inhale, 2 counts. And exhale, 2 counts coming up. I hope it's clear. And now we see with the chair. I think I have to stay a little here. So we finished the previous movement like this, right? So we inhale, tensing, at least we try to tense the body, then exhale, Inhale. And then we lift the legs. And either with the leg straight, but sometimes with the leg straight is correspond more with the movement somehow, but can be a little with the chair. And the purpose is really not necessary. If this is inconvenient, we just can do like this. But when we inhale, we have to tense the body, so we go like this, then exhale, then inhale. As you can see on the chair, is peachy. It's kind of easy. I do it one time in this way. Okay, so we start. We start a little the feet in front. And of course, depends the kind of chair you have. This chair for this one is really perfect. It's really good because this part, I don't know, is kind of straight. This is actually one of the best chair to do this movement on the chair. It's very basic, but doesn't have fast. This one doesn't go in, is flat. This one is very good. Is a good one. So if we finish before like this, and then we straighten up, inhaling and tensing the body, then exhale, but keep the legs controlled. Now the legs very, very strong control. Inhale, inhale, and then you stay, in this case, in open hold, and then take the legs and go in drain. If you lengthen here up, stretch up, tense, then you get a better drain. And then exhale, inhale, and exhale. Okay, I guess that's it about the 7 movement of Yantra. I wanted to show you something else because I had in my mind already, and even if it's a little, our time is running out, but I would like to show you anyway. This is just in case sometimes you feel also your breath constricted and you want to do something, then if you have a chair, for example, you can put a pillow, a blanket or something against it and go really, really closed. And then literally you hug the chair. So that is pressing mostly on the abdomen, possibly the upper part of the abdomen. And take 3, 5 deep breaths.
In this case, if you want, you can let the air out from the mouth long, like blowing into a balloon. Or simply let the breath being nice and deep. And then rest. So in this case, for example, is another way to relax the breath at the end. But in general, you feel a little close like this, do something like this, and the breath will open. But if you want to do, this was apart because I want already to do it, so it came to my mind to do it now. But otherwise, you can also do this. Go a little bit on the edge of the chair. And if you want, you can move back, get some support from the chair, and relax. Or also, if you want, you can relax like this. But if this is okay, then you stay like this. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry I couldn't show you precisely the 7 movements, but in this moment, my back, I don't want to risk something to try to show it correctly. Okay, and you too should do the same. If you feel that something is not really precise, then you don't force. There is no reason. Especially if now you know how to do it on a chair, then at a certain point you can do it on a chair or one of the adapted version without pushing. Okay, thank you very much. In any case, I think in the morning there is somebody in webcast doing Yantra. Maybe they probably also do the night movement. If it's somebody who is doing it very nicely, then of course you can look there and find it precise. You can see better how it is. Okay, thank you very much. See you the next time. Ciao, ciao.